Hey everyone, welcome back to Citywide Bytes. I'm your host, Max Boa. Now, I got a question for everyone. Let's say you've just started your band. How do you get this off the ground? How do you get things launched? Well, that's a question I posed to Tyler Pollard of the band Robotic Hawks. He's my guest this week, and we're going to talk all about starting a band, launching it, getting it out there. We're also going to talk about their new EP, New Better Things, and the shows they have planned later this summer. Enjoy. Well, Tyler, man, thank you once again for joining us. I've been, I remember like last time we talked, we had an absolute blast, and of course, so much more in the world of robotic hawks. You guys hear really carefully, everyone. You'll figure out why in a second. Um, but there's been like definitely a lot going on in your world. I know that last July you released your latest four-song EP, "New Better Things," recorded by Benny Grotto at Mad Oak Studios and produced by the band hero Paul Q. Kolderie. I want to know what makes Paul the band hero because like look on your face says this is very very serious.
Um, well, I mean, I, I was so drawn to the Boston culture before I even got here, you
Hmm.
know. And the funny thing is that, as a kid, I worked in a record store, and this was back when you had to unlock the cases to get the cassettes for people. And on the cassette, we had to rubber band the reorder number, so you
Hmm.
put it in the reorder pile. That's how you knew that there was a sale and that you needed to get another one in the store. Anyway, um, one of the ones that I was drawn to was the import tapes because they had different cards on them, so they flagged differently in my brain. And I cold bought Big Dipper's Heavens, which is literally the first Boston band that I kind of was like, oh, there's an underground thing that you can get involved in. And Paul and Sean recorded them with Fort Apache. And so, Paul's been with me in some way ever since I got the bug for Boston music, really.
That's so cool. That's so cool. All right. Now, this no this EP has some amazing music on it, but in particular, I really dug the song Heartbeat. It's hard to pick a favorite because they're all just so good, but Heartbeat, just like the opening, just kind of really gets you, kind of draws you in. I want to ask about just what was the process of making this particular song?
Um, so I think that song comes out of an effort to explore simplicity
Hmm.
and to prioritize feel, and um, it ended up being kind of a springboard for me to kind of own the moment vocally and really be like,
Hmm.
all right, this is giving me some space, because that's ultimately my biggest challenge with, because we write the music as a band, we write the music first. I'm trying to fight for space as we're making decisions on the fly. And so as Heartbeat, as that developed, I was like, whoa, 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 let's not overcomplicate this. There's space here. Let me try and do something that I haven't normally done. Is just let it breathe and I'll just be on top. So it was a really linear song to me as a singer.
Sure, sure, sure.
Um,
Yeah. Like when it comes though to kind of choosing like what songs go into your EPs or albums, how does that process work? Because I'm sure that there are a lot of newcomers to music. They're wondering how do I choose what to put in like in the album?
well, we've kind of developed a little process at this point. So we finish that EP, we play a bunch of shows, and we're the kind of band that if we're playing a bunch of shows, we can't really spend time on writing. So we kind of just keep in the condition for practicing. Um, but we had a little time and we start with a cover first. So we picked a new cover that we would start to work, and in the process of learning and adapting a song to our thing,
Hmm.
um, ideas start slipping out from the side. So it's like always in the past few releases, the cover has always kind of been the catalyst for where we start. So I'm not saying that everything that we write after we agree on a cover is going to be similar or of the same vein, but at least it gets us working again, and that's what's been our key. So to answer your point, it's just whatever we write next. So we've got
Ah.
we've got one written right now,
Hmm.
and it's going to be how long can I stand it? We are we going to write 3 songs and then do another EP, or am I going to have the willpower to say, let's just keep writing. Let's try and do a full album, which is kind of what I've been saying for the past 5 years, but I get impatient. You get songs and you're like, all right, I'm ready. They're great. Let's do these now. you know?
Yeah, I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Any bands that have been like a continual source of inspiration for you?
Um, no,
Yeah,
not really.
I
I
like
mean,
that.
as a band, we don't really have a ton of overlap.
Hmm.
It's actually pretty hard to have like an overlap. Um, as an example, um, I bring up classic rock bands all the time to kind of keep that as a starting point for
Hmm.
something I'm trying to get us to jam on. Bad Company is a weird thing to say that I want to start with, but I'm trying to do like a rock statement. Ultimately, I want the guitar player to kind of really have the space first and come up with something that's interesting in that vein. So, but it never really works. We always say that, and then Sean will play some Bad Company chords and goes, "Yeah, these are terrible. I don't want to do this." And I go, and then we end up somewhere else we like. He's like, "I would want it to be blah 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 blah," and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so that's the only band that's actually a continuing running statement is that I bring up Bad Company only to inspire us to do something better.
I like that. That's a good system, though. Actually, I like that. You bring up a bad
Yeah,
company, it leads to something better. That's very
you got to know
cool.
what you hate first before you can learn what you like,
Perfect. Flawless system. I like that.
right?
Everyone, take notes. Find the band you don't like, and it'll inspire better stuff.
Yeah.
Um, Now, looking at the site, you guys have been doing a lot of shows. You did like a bunch of shows last year. You've done a few so far this year. What's your approach when it comes to just like booking a venue? Do you kind of happen to know the owners, or do you have to do a lot of cold calls?
we're we're a complicated case.
I love that.
um, I'd like to say that I'm in control of our live destiny, but I'm not. It's
Mm,
haphazard, and it's like I get what I get if I'm lucky. And
yeah.
they're all circumstantial happenstance. So, for instance, I this next run we have, I got one thing in place that felt like it was really far off. And I'm like, well, at least it's something. And then all these other things showed up and filled up the summer. But I only got that first thing because I was noticing, that time was moving. And if you don't get something in the books, then you're going to miss it. And so,
Hmm.
um, I had a good run of luck for the summer and into the spring. So, I mean, into the fall. So I'm calling this our summer of adventures.
Yeah.
We're playing pretty much all new places for the entire summer, places we've never played.
Cool.
So that's exciting, right?
Yeah, yeah. How do you go about like finding places to play? Like, how do you know when a spot's gonna like work with robotic hawks?
Even more complicated, but
Right.
we're getting better at it.
Yeah.
For a while there were places that I didn't feel we could do, just because we couldn't wrangle the monster.
Hmm.
Um, as a three piece, people kind of was like, "Wow, you guys push out a lot of sound," which is not always a compliment. Um, so I don't know. Obviously, I'm trying to keep it within reason. I don't want to. We're not going to go on tour. I want to play places that I feel that we can grow in. That's a good
Mm.
canvas for us to do our loud thing because we're a loud band and it's very punctuated. And Brian's a really crippling drummer. If you're in the room with him and he smacks the snare and he's not paying attention to the fact that there are people in the room, he'll scare the shit out of you because he hits way too hard, which is why we love him. But
What?
so it's got to be the right room that can handle that and allow people to draw in and go, okay, they're playing rock and roll. Let's focus. Nothing else can happen while they're doing their thing. They better be
Right.
good.
Yeah.
So,
Cool. Cool. All right. Let us talk business now because you've been doing this for a long time. I am sure you've seen a lot of bands come and go over the years. What is something that musicians are doing that you think they shouldn't?
ooh, but they shouldn't. Um, not not a whole lot,
Yeah.
really.
Okay.
It's sometimes they criticize people for playing too many shows too close together.
Hmm.
And I admit I'm kind of snobby, and I'll look around and see if they're doing it appropriately. If I see somebody's name coming across the desk a bunch of times, I'm like, what are they up to? Why am I seeing it so often? Are they doing it in a comfortable manner? Like, because you want to know, are they doing an injustice to their longevity? Are they helping it by what they're doing? Because no one knows, right? Um, so I can't say that I have anything that people should stop doing. Um, a
Yeah.
lot of things I
I
wish
might,
that they should start doing, but
such as?
I mean, I'd like to see. So there's a booker out of New Hampshire.
Hmm.
It's called Forward New Hampshire,
Hmm.
Always Forward New Hampshire. This guy, and he's doing these really cool mixed builds for bills where that's how it used to be back in the day. It was just a conglomerate of just different types of rock music, and it didn't feel like just the same groups playing together.
Yeah.
I see a lot of that lately. It just seems like the same bill just moving around, um, which is fine that you find your people and that you like doing shows together. But I like variety, and I like seeing shows that are kind of out of left field. So I wish
Agreed.
people did that more often and kind of we do that. We take chances with people we've never played with or seen before, but I like what they're up to. And even if it's a little out of left field for what we're doing, if I had a good interaction with them online, or I like their approach, or just admire their tactics, I'll reach out and cold call them and say, "Hey, let's do this show." And
Yeah.
that's what's really happening with the shows that we've gotten for the
Yeah.
next few months. Like these are new bands that we haven't played with that reach out to us for similar reasons.
I agree 100%. I actually used to book shows myself back in the day when I lived in Boston, and I would typically go for that blend. Like you'd open with like maybe like a singer-songwriter and just kind of elevate it as they went on. So that the last band is a little more like hard rock or heavy rock. So you have that diversity, and I like that. I think a
Yep.
show with like everyone sounds the same, it's like, well, if you like that genre, cool. But why not have
Right.
like a mixed bag? What's so wrong with that?
Yeah, right. I mean, that's a whole booking discussion that is a
Exactly. It's a
little,
whole separate episode.
you know. But I mean, because to me, it's like playing army. Like so you get to that point where you're like, oh, I built something wacky. Let's see how this turns out. But then on the other side of it, you have to evaluate. What did these choices do to the room, and
Exactly.
learn those behaviors. I know it's a lot of work, but I think it's entertaining to be like, oh, if I had put this bill together, I would have put that band, third
Hmm.
because of this or because of that. How people manage the energy is interesting to me as well.
Yeah, because like you don't want it to be like a different crowd for each band, or like the first band gets like the full audience because it's the start of the show, and then by the end it's like just like the handful of folks that are left. You want everyone to be, I think, kind of almost inspired or curious, like, oh, this is different. Let me stick around. Oh, that band's different. I'm going to stick around, and so on and so forth.
Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. How about when a band first starts? What would you say are some of the really important like first steps?
Um, I think ultimately you kind of have to. There's a number of things you should do.
Mhm.
I think write as much as possible,
Mm,
as early as possible. Um, I do think that discussing inspirations and goals is important. We established our mission statement first. What we wanted to do, and then you start trying to see if you can fulfill that mission. Um, we spent a year writing first before we did
wow.
anything, and then we had to. The guy I was recording with was a guy named Jack Younger. He used to have Basement 247 Studios, and then he went to Watch City Studios in Waltham.
Hmm.
Um, anyway, he's like, and not only are you going to write everything over the course of a year, but you're going to demo everything for me before we touch tape because I want you to
Oh,
really. He's a personal friend, so he knew what I was trying to accomplish, and he didn't want me to rush into the studio quickly. And he knew these were new guys that I needed to build experience with. We are all strangers, these weren't people I had worked with before. I found them on Craigslist, so we had to build from the ground up our rapport, our collaboration, and that goes for performing, it goes for recording. So it's really just enjoy those steps and take your time doing those steps. However, always play out before you're ready.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Really?
totally. When you know that moment, you're like, I don't know if we should play yet. I don't know we're ready. Book the show anyway and
Oh,
test yourself, because it's just like you got to know what you didn't do right before you can realize what you want to do right. Um,
that's solid advice. Just like jump into that pool.
don't be precious about it. You're gonna be terrible. You know.
I love that. I love that. Okay, first
Yeah.
show, it's gonna have problems. But that's how you learn, right? That's how you get better. It's the next show
Right.
is like polished.
Yeah. It's just the
Holy
same thing. You know what didn't feel right. And you personally want to fix that. And you guys got to figure out how you're gonna share that with each other. Do we critique each other? Do we give each other advice? Are we allowed to talk about that stuff? That's all part of it. How do we deal with the aftermath of our first show and discussing where it should go from here? You got to be able to do it.
yeah. Well, I think it's kind of like if you're like a filmmaker, a writer, a musician, the first one's always going to be hard, but
Yeah.
the second one's going to be a lot better.
Yeah.
That is so
Yeah, I didn't
cool.
I didn't get it. This is your first movie? Yes. Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, you know
No.
what? The second one will be better. Second one will be better.
No,
You'll
it's
you'll,
yeah.
you'll get it. Okay. All right. Well, Tyler, we are coming down to the end of this conversation, but of course, we're gonna wrap things up with what is next for Robotic Hawks.
Oh, well, so let's give the Summer of Adventure rundown.
Let's do it. Go for it.
So, we are coming out on May 8th to Kodo in Salem.
Love
Um,
Godo. Love it.
I've wanted to play. This is crossing one off the bucket list. We're playing with a band called Shepherds and Sublimic.
Ooh, good name.
Yeah, and I think it's their first show. And they're yeah, so I
All
love
right then.
debuts,
So
especially
Sublimic,
given what we've
we'll learn
discussed.
something.
Yeah.
Cool.
So then we do May 16th at Bad Burger in Manchester.
Yep.
I'm still waiting for more details on that, but we're right over the border here in Manchester, and we haven't played that
Yeah.
venue. We've played the Shaskeen, but all the kids love Bad Burger, so I'm excited about a burger and some rock and roll.
Can't
Then
lose.
June 6th, we're playing at the David Beaver Archives and doing a broadcast on the Boston Radio Concert Network.
Ooh,
So
that's
that'll
fun. I've been there
be.
before, actually.
I can't wait. I've
Yeah.
walked. I was there. Went to the Magic Room for a show,
Hmm.
and Joe Packard,
Yep. Yep.
who works in there, he's like, "Do you know what's over here? You know, I work over here, right?" I'm like, "I didn't know anything about the place, so
You
now
know
I've
which
been
place
completely
existed.
obsessed. I can't wait to
Yeah.
get in there, and I can't wait to do this broadcast. They put on an incredible broadcast. If you haven't seen any of them,
Yeah, I think I met Joe before years back at an old job of mine, and I think he took me, well, whoever it was, took me through the back room, and I was like, "This is like a musical museum." And am I supposed to see all this stuff?
yeah. Do I have to pay someone?
I know, right? It's like, should I be like seeing this thing? It sounds like a.
Do I need a hand stamp to go
I
behind
know,
this
right?
wall here?
I felt like I was going through that last scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark. You're
Yeah.
like, what's back here? Oh my goodness,
I think they actually even say that on their website, that
that
that's
is
what it feels
amazing.
like.
That it
Um,
does. It really does.
I'm excited about that. Then we're going to play Providence for the first time on July 3rd at the Buttonwood Brewery.
Nice. I've heard of that
So
place. Sounds cool.
that's one of the top 5 Fiend productions. So excited about that.
Yeah.
The writer Rob Duguay,
Hmm.
Duguay,
Yeah.
it's
I
his
think yeah, Duguay. Yeah.
Duguay.
Yeah.
It's
Rob, if
his
you're watching,
series.
we apologize.
Yeah, sorry. I really tried. I was really stressed out earlier. I'm gonna try and say this guy's name on air, and I'm gonna probably massacre it, but um,
I'm sure Rob is used to it.
he is, I'm sure. Um, a little side note on that: I'm very excited. The guy that does sound is this guy
Hmm.
named Sam D'Ambrosio, who I went to high school with,
Yeah.
and so I'm very excited for Sam to mix us because I haven't seen Sam in many, many years, and he's got a studio in Providence as well, and I should probably know the name, but don't.
Look it up.
Um, and lastly, September 11th, we'll be playing Worcester for the first time at Ralph's Diner.
Ralph's is amazing. I've been there a few times. It is just fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I've personally played there, but the band and making them go to Worcester.
They're gonna have a blast. They're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
have an
I love
absolute
Browns.
blast. Yeah.
Especially September. It could still be a nice night. It's a Saturday.
Exactly. You'll be fine. It'll be a good time. Be a good time. All right. Well, Tyler, this has been a blast, and thank you so much for joining us. And for the folks at home, you know where to go. You go to richardtylerpollard.com. Everything's there for the band. Of course, follow their socials, follow their Spotify. Get your copy of New Better Thing. Let us know, what song did you like? Was it Heartbeat? Was it a different song? Let us know in the comments. And certainly Tyler will be doing this again very, very soon.
Excellent, man. Thank you so much.
All right, folks, that brings this episode to a close. I hope you enjoyed yourself. If you want to check out more about the show, our latest episode is right here. If you want to subscribe, it's right there. And if you want to know more about the band, link is in the description below. Hope you enjoyed yourselves, and I'll see you all next time.